Human interaction. Did anyone ever put their hand up at class, at school, and not have a teacher ignore them? That's where my disaffection started. I got pretty stroppy and I started to misbehave. Then I ended up in the corridor and got a pretty vivid imagination. Very creative mind in the corridor. When people are walking past, like, what the hell are you doing there? Then I'd end up in the PE department, where Mr. Power, when PE teachers were considered second-class citizens, he was a social coach, because he found out why I was misbehaving, asked me not to be so stupid, and because we developed a relationship of trust, dignity and respect, we went back in the classroom, caused a little bit more havoc, but not as much as we could have done. By the way, all boys' schools, bad places. Believe in co-education, but girls should be allowed to develop in certain aspects of learning, but by way of cultural interaction, they should be employing and enjoying sport and the arts that develop healthy, positive relationships. Work that one out. That is our global map. That is our global community. Anyone here who believes that what isn't happening right here now is being impacted by the click of two thumbs into a global community in the world is deluded. In March, I was in Johannesburg. A student on the University of Cape Town decided that Cecil T. Rhodes' statue should no longer be there. Within 48 hours, there was a Twitter trend and conversation going on between 250,000 young Africans. Within 7 days, the statue was moved. 6 weeks ago at the University of Oxford, exactly the same discussion is taking place. That is the power that young people have at their disposal. We need to harness that power, we need to focus that power, and we need to ensure that each of those campuses become fit for purpose and fit for practice. That is why I'm here talking to you. We've now carefully worked out our plans and our proposals. We've realized that the 2012 legacy is now a 2016 Rio legacy, because that's where we expect to be able to share what I've shared with you to a global community. But it will require everybody contributing. I was very spoilt, I realize now, when we launched the Youth Charter, because I had an audience like you available to me at least 4 times a year. Or from Manchester, Piccadilly to London for the big decision makers who had to suffer 4 hours of me at the day when it wasn't 2 hours to get down and 2 hours to get back. On the way down, I literally engaged their software, pester them in a very professional way, and by the return, they were ready to say yes because they wanted some peace and quiet. That is where I did most of my work. And the Midland Hotel. If you wanted to find the decision makers in the early 90s, you just sat in the Midland Hotel. And if they didn't return your calls, you just became a very large presence. And they'd always say, oh, yes, yes, yes. Never said no. And even if they said no, I'd go back and said, you're going to say yes. Because at the end of the day, I couldn't go back on those streets, or the boardrooms, or the schools, or the young offenders institutions, or the communities, and say, we can't. There is no such thing as can't. Barack Obama said, yes, we can. I'm coining the phrase, yes, we will, because we have to. And I don't want to put a dour note on it, but a 16-year-old schoolgirl in Manchester did go before our courts under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. I want to share that with you, because it certainly rocked me into a renewed commitment and dedicated effort. A 15-year-old schoolboy was able to engage through social media with an 18-year-old teenager in Australia on how he might dispose of police officers. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to say to you that if we're going to fix this, it will take all of your respective skills, talent, and effort. Everyone says, oh, it's always about the money. No. For those who donate money, they think it's all done. It isn't. We've inspired a movement that is now a sector, and I would argue is an industry. And I intend for it to go back to a movement. I intend for communities to be engaged, equipped, and empowered. When we talk about the Youth Charter approach, it is the opening and closing ceremony of the Games. I am not interested in the winning. I'm only interested in the taking part. That makes me an absolute contradiction in terms on the business of what I would always say, for a rare appearance only, this is what it was always about for me. Those are my qualifications. By the way, I'm not holding my own gold medal. This was won by a woman. Same weekend. She's the administrator of the Youth Charter. She's also my wife. We have a very peaceful household. I test her, she pushes back. So when you say it cannot be done, and this is a voluntary effort, but do not underestimate the socioeconomics and the cost benefit of that effort. She won gold on the Saturday. I never slept until I had my final in the afternoon. because I was seriously under pressure. There was no way I was going back into that flat without gold. But every single medal is a qualification. It has allowed me to have an incredible journey, to benefit from what I have benefited in the past, to present to you in the present what is possible in the future. That is what is possible from tragedy. That is what is possible if you can see in your hearts and minds the ability to make a difference as part of a coordinated effort. How many of you remember Anneka Rice? Yeah. Right, that's all this is about, by the way. Anneka Rice did it in 24 hours, well, with a bit of week of research and planning and preparation. But that, for me, was the ideal depiction of what we're about. Just people all contributing. And yes, we can give bright lights. We will record it. We will share it. But by Rio next year, I intend to have 10 campuses confirmed. We're already looking at a global movement, and being true to Manchester, this great city, we want to have Manchester's talent. 150 lives have been lost since I decided that that young boy, that's Benji Stanley. 150 lives lost. They have inspired the generation of effort. They have inspired why we have to do something. And for those who say there are many charities doing it, there are many charities getting on with it, I say, why are our education levels falling to such alarming rates? Why are young people not employable? Why are they filling our prisons and young offenders institutions? Why are they being extremist in their behaviour because they don't believe that they belong or identify with all that special moment in 2012, that summer where Britain found itself, and everybody, whether they liked sport or not, saw something to be involved with, be connected with, and have a memory of. Just so you understand that it has never been about me, as I launched the Charter in 1993, the end of apartheid took place in South Africa. I was to go as part of a UK delegation and lead that delegation to look at what sport would do as a vision for the new South Africa. Everything that I've applied here, I witnessed and saw over there. They had no grants, they had no budgets, they had no application forms, they had an extraordinary corporate social responsibility and investment by Afrikaans companies who wanted to keep the townships where they were. And I witnessed what could be done with nothing. I brought it back over here where there were resources, there were applications, and took on the challenges of how we remove the barriers and create opportunity. That is our philosophy. That young girl is now a successful young woman. She was excluded from the opening ceremony of late President Mandela's FIFA World Select match, and we gave her a scroll, and the rest, they say, is history. We've got it on YouTube. But what I want to say to you is, everything I've shared with you is possible. I'm asking you to consider it, discuss it, challenge it. I'm happy to take questions. As long as it's not too personal, I will answer them. But we are now announcing what the 2012 legacy for all looks like by way of the 2016 Games next year. There's lots to do. I need your help. Thank you for listening.